Hello and welcome to Resin Crafting with Chris Collected. On today's episode, we're going to continue to use up the rest of this art resin. As you can see, there's not much of it left. I didn't realize exactly how much was left though, so I tried to make this live, laugh, love, but make it spooky. Along with other various molds like the star and moon, and the cat bookmark. However, I ended up making way too much resin for this project, and so it gets a little crazy. So I really underestimated how much was left in it. I was thinking, oh, there can't be more than 10 ounces left in here. And then I realized, no, I still have a lot more that I can pour out. And at the same time, I realized, oh no, this thing only goes to 16 and I just poured 10. Well, 10 and 10 and 20, right? So I immediately went and grabbed another one and put the hardener into that one. So now we're putting 10 ounces of hardener into a separate one. However, these things still have to be mixed. So that's where a little bit of the craziness comes in. This is the most amount of resin I've ever poured at one time. So now I mix it all into the blue cup. The blue cup ended up being around, I would say 18, 19 ounces. So not enough for the 20 that I've poured. So what I've done is pour the split of it into these two cups. Then I'm going to stir them together, trying to mix it as best I can, and then mix them again and again, basically doing it about 3 different times. The whole process was easily over 5 minutes long, so I have sped it up to 3 times the normal speed. As you can see, I'm slowly trying to pour more and more in, getting it as mixed as I can. But at the same time, I know that it's kind of a lost cause. I was like, all right, this is going to just be a lot of a headache. And I've since bought some 500 mils and some bigger containers just to be able to, I went to a thrift store just to pick up some cheap stuff. I was like, something that I can even just use as disposable for now until I could finally buy some bigger silicone ones. That resonator did work really well, though. I was able to mix things really no problem. But yeah, see, now I've poured it into the other cup and just started all over again. I figured there might be some stuff on the bottom or stuff that just wasn't getting mixed right. So I was like, all right, let me just stir it up myself as well. Again, I do not recommend doing this. In the future, I will be using larger containers. I then split them into 2 after that. Now we're going to use our butterscotch mica powder. It's a nice caramel color. And I thought it would be like almost like gold and yellow put together. So it made like a spooky yellow. These are all 5-gram samples that I got offline, and I'm still using them. They just had about 30 different colors, so I had so many to choose from. Next up is Black 3.0 from Stuart Simple. This is an acrylic paint that is the darkest that they sold up until about last week when they released Black 4.0. So I will be getting that one soon as well, and it'll be even darker. Now let's get this butterscotch all mixed up. It ended up looking really good, almost like an antique gold. Next, mix up the acrylic paint with the epoxy resin. I ended up adding a little bit more, as I was going to make all the moon and stars and everything in this kind of black. I think this will be one of the best backings. I know a lot of people in the resin world, they will often, if you're putting a lot of glitter or anything like that, they'll put a solid black behind it. I recommend that black. It's so dark. Next up, we have the Stewart Simple Silver. This is a fine biodegradable glitter, as well as the Tahitian Sunrise glitter. This one's kind of a mix of blues and purples. I figured it would give me kind of a galaxy vibe, and I thought that would be pretty cool. Where it'll be mostly silver, but a little bit of extra color in there. Now, because the glitter is much lighter, it definitely will sink. So you have all the glitter on the front of your piece instead of on the back or inside of it. Which is fine, because the black is so dark, you wouldn't be able to see the glitter anyways. So you really want it to sink. But it does look so cool in there. I want to do some experimentation in the future to make sure that I wait as long as I can to see if I can get that glitter to float. But maybe not in that black, as it is literally way too dark. So now let's go ahead and pour into the Live, Laugh, Love, but make it spooky. The Live, I went ahead and went in solid black. I thought that would be an interesting take on it, and since it's almost kind of like death and life, right? Because death is normally associated with dark black. This is kind of the anti-Live. I have started to use a blowtorch, but only inside of these silicone to try to pop any bubbles on the top. Next up, the Love. I thought, ultimately a love is usually a mix of two different people or more. And so I figured we mix these two colors together and see what kind of love they make together. While still giving the traditional orange and black for Halloween. That one's looking good. Maybe just a little bit more black. These pieces really transformed. As the dark was so much heavier than the orange, it really made an interesting piece. Now let's finally just do the laugh. This one I was trying for a striation type design. So a little bit of black, a little bit of the butterscotch, a little bit of black, a little bit of butterscotch. Again, because it was so heavy, it did not really turn out that way. Make sure to stay to the end and you could see the unmolding. Now I'm left with a lot of extra resin. And so what I've decided to do is pour the butterscotch into the black. I was trying to see if I could get the black to be, well, less black. And it turned out it didn't really work that well. The black just kind of absorbed it all. So now let's see that from another angle. Yes, I do see that the baby wipe is in the way. It will be moved in about 3 seconds. Oh, 1 second. I love seeing it fill up on the side there. Next up is the love. Seeing it fill that container and even out is one of my favorite parts of resin making. Now let's finish it up with the laugh. All right, now back to what we were making. So I went ahead and poured all that butterscotch into the black. The idea was to try to make it a little less black. It actually worked out really well. Everything has like a slight orangish tone to it. I'll show you in the photos at the end. It looks really good. And even in this, in liquid form, it still looked pretty cool. Like a galaxy and a nebula had got together. So next up, we're going to pour this into this little flower mold that I got from craftkitsune. It's a cute little mold. I was kind of hoping that it would fit inside of a tic-tac-toe piece. So it'd honestly be like kind of a way to store them or something like that, but it was a little too shallow and a little too wide. It did turn out looking really good though. All right, now let's see that from a different angle. And a little bit more. There we go. Make sure to check out my YouTube shorts section to see all kind of resin pouring. All right, now let's get these stars and moons poured. Again, the glitter is going to sink on all these, so the front of them will be a nice shiny silver, while the back of them and sides of them will all be black, with a little bit of orange in it. But as you can see, we still have lots of resin to go through. Now let's go ahead and do our first round of bubble popping. These are the extended Bic lighters. They work really well. I didn't have any problems unmolding at all this time. I remembered my mold release and I remembered to not over bake anything. This little cat bookmark is super cute. Not very practical though, because I find it a little too small. Next up, when I have too much resin, there's always the giant tic-tac-toe board. And being as it is spooky season and I have 2 shows, one next Friday and one next Saturday, in Phoenix, Arizona, I figured I needed some new tic-tac-toe boards. So I went ahead and poured the rest of the black that I had into it. So let's go ahead and speed through this. You know, I thought putting that into the X was going to be a good idea at the time. Ended up just ruining that X. The black is just so strong. It's wild. So what I did now is I had a little bit of clear left as well. And so I took that, put it into the butterscotch that I had left, and then just kind of mixed it up. So it's kind of a really light butterscotch. And I knew this would dissipate over time. It's just going to kind of, you know, assimilate into it. And it worked out perfectly. You really can't tell at all. But I wanted to make sure it was a little more full. Next up, I have these two little mica powders that I'm going to be using. They're both like a pink and purple color. I'm going to mix them together and make them for some X's. I ended up making 4 X's and 4 O's. 2 of them I'll make off screen. The O's are going to be in this royalty color, which is like a royal blue. That's right, I still have more resin. I really went way overboard because I was like, oh, I'm just going to use this up and it'll be fine. I'll make 1 or 2 videos out of it. This video and next week's video are really chaotic. So what I decided to do here is I've in the past, if you undermix mica powder, it will stay clumped up. And I thought actually that would be a cool, almost Jackson Pollock type look to these pieces. And it worked perfectly. Well, besides for this one, because that black in it absolutely ruined the piece, in my opinion. But the other 3 look really good. And it's something that I think I might even make a lot more of. I just thought it looked so cool. You get this little solid bits of color all inside of this hard, almost translucent, solid object. So it just looks so cool. It's like floating bits. Next up, we have the royal blue. And I'm going to pour that into the O's. I just thought the pink and blue would be a great contrast against black. And I wanted to make, because the black is so solid, I made both of these translucent. As we finish up for today, my name is Chris Collected. I'm a queer, subversive artist specializing in digital and physical media. That means I make things that you can watch and I make things that you can buy. Make sure to subscribe and continue to support independent artists. Thank you so much. Happy Halloween to everyone, and happy holidays to everyone out there for all the holidays that you celebrate. I have a lot planned for the rest of this year and even more planned for next year. I'm trying to get to at least 200 subscribers by the end of the year, so please consider subscribing and helping support me. Have a spooky and wonderful day.